Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about a story I just saw come through my feed yesterday. I saw several people talk about it because I've got a fair number of physique competitors and coaches on my social media, even though I don't follow that sort of stuff. And there was this woman, I believe her name is Jenna Roller, if I got it right. She got into a physique competition, and unusual competitor. This is not what they normally expect there. But you know, she got up there, did her thing, and it turns out that her photos didn't get published with a lot of the other photos by the photographer. And the reason being, he said, well, because you just didn't look that good. Just didn't look that good, or something to that effect. And you know what? She was like, well, I'm proud of how I look. I'm happy with my loose. I'm proud of my loose skin. And that's an interesting perspective because, you know, she's got a bit of support online and she's caught a lot of flack. And this is where we run into this interesting dichotomy in the so-called fitness world. You know, because in the fitness world, they act like it's all about fitness, everyone doing better. But the reality is the physique part of things isn't about people doing better. It's about narcissism. It's about judgment. It's about false expectations for the most part. And I personally really dislike physique competition. But it is what it is. Now, some people would say this woman, knowing the state she was in, chose to go compete in a physique competition. She should expect whatever flack's going to come her way. And while there's truth to that, because you go into these things, you are judged by extreme standards that most people really can't meet. In fact, the standards are absurdly unhealthy in most physique competition. But the reality is, this is a woman who's done a pretty significant transformation, to say the least. She weighed 300 pounds, lost 140 pounds. She was struggling with postpartum depression, weight gain, and everything that goes through that. And I think all of us have known at least one or two people in our lives who gained an enormous amount of body weight due to postpartum depression. Pretty normal, it's a pretty common thing. Happens to a lot of women. And one reason so many women get into fitness or go look for trainers, one of the biggest reasons out there is postpartum depression, weight gain, all of that. Women end up getting depressed, they overeat, they feel like the pregnancy and everything destroys their body. Then they overeat because they've already got loose skin and everything else. They get stretched and they get fatter. And then they get more depressed because, again, eating bad and gaining body fat can in and of itself cause all sorts of imbalances. It can make you more depressed. So it can contribute to the whole situation. And this woman did what most of us would say is the right thing. She jumped up and said, you know, I've had enough of this. I'm going to train. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to lose the weight. She did. She lost 140 pounds. Pretty impressive. I'd say it's pretty impressive. Now, the problem is that we're dealing with the online fitness world to where what's impressive or where you've been to get to where you are doesn't always seem to matter to this group of people. You know, they don't accept any imperfection. And it's interesting because she is getting some hate for the cellulite, for the loose skin, stuff like that. And I can actually relate to that. I can relate to that a lot. Because I have done shirtless videos, and you guys know, maybe you do or don't know. Some of you guys have seen the flush golem memes out there from when I did a water cut for a powerlifting meet. I already have some loose skin because I lost 100 pounds of body fat. I spent 10 months in bed, sick, bedridden, had to deal with depression, chronic overeating, everything else. I gained 100 pounds almost while I was in bed sick. I had to quit lifting weights. At the time I got sick, I was squatting 550 and benching 400. In my early 30s. I got sick, spent 10 months in bed, had to spend over 3 years away from lifting weights completely. I gained an enormous amount of body fat due to depression, being sedentary, everything else. So for me, I lost 100 pounds of body fat. I obviously am going to have some loose skin from that. That's the real world, especially when you get older. You get up in your 30s, you lose 100 pounds, I promise you're going to have loose skin. And it's very, very difficult to deal with. And of course, it will then be the butt of jokes. And because of that, you know, I've got the loose skin. I may never have, no matter how lean I do get, I'm never going to have that perfect physique that everyone talks about because I'm going to have a weird distribution, going to have loose skin. It's never going to be perfect. And so accordingly, people are like, why don't you get ripped? Well, I have been ripped before. I'm not interested in trying something like that because, number one, I'm dealing with a bunch of superficial jackasses who aren't going to be impressed because I'm going to have imperfections. So why bother? But I can relate to this. This is a woman who's got her loose skin and everything, and that's an interesting attitude to take. She says, look, this is where I've been. This loose skin is a sign of my progress. It's a sign of my progress. This is a sign of the work that I put in. This is kind of a badge of honor at this point. And I guess that's the way she's looking at it. You know what? I think that's a healthy attitude because let's be realistic here. Everyone out there who's into fitness, if you're really into fitness, you know that you want to see people do better. You know that you want to see all these obese people be like, oh, they're just fat and lazy with no discipline. Well, this is what happens when someone who has that says, you know what, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. I'm going to do better. Yeah, they do improve, but then you're going to have the people out there who are like, well, you're still disgusting, even though they've made the changes. And there's going to be those people who are going to hate, and there's going to be those people who are going to put down their achievements because to those people, anything less than perfection must be mocked. If you're not the best in the world, you're garbage. And it's this weird attitude you see all the time online, and it brings out the worst trolls, the worst haters, particularly anything fitness or physique related. It seems like it brings out the worst. And so yeah, this woman's had to deal with a lot of their slings and arrows, but you know what? She seems to be taking it in stride. And here's the thing, I think what really makes people uncomfortable with it is the fact that you had a woman who knows she's not contest ready. She knows she's not contest lean. She knows that she can't be competitive in that endeavor, but she got up there and said, you know what? I've changed, I'm improved. I've improved my health. I've lost 140 pounds. I've changed my lifestyle. I'm going to get up here anyways because this is where I'm at in my journey. And it's kind of funny because what she's displaying up there is what fitness really should be about. But what she's displaying flies completely in the face of physique competition, because physique competition is not about fitness. And so yeah, there's going to be coaches, there's going to be competitors who are going to be a little unhappy with what this woman's doing up there because they're like, she doesn't look good enough to be on stage. But you know, she'll get up there and say, I know I'm not reaching the standards that you've set for your criteria for judging, but I'm going to be up here anyways because you know what? I've probably lost more fat than most of the women who are up here on the stage. I've earned my right to be here. I paid my membership fees. I paid my entry fees. I've trained hard. I've lost a lot of body fat. I've gained muscle. I'm just going to get up here and show off what I got. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is me. This is my transformation. And you know what? That's the thing. That's the thing that's interesting. And I think that's the thing that will get a lot of people's goat in this community, is because this is someone up there saying, you know what? I don't have to be perfect, and that's not allowed in the physique competition world. You can't ever say I'm not perfect. And if you do, it's only because you know that you need to improve. But she's up there saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm so proud of how far I have come. Look at what I've done. Look how far I've come in my journey, and I'm proud of myself. And they don't like that. That's the interesting thing. There's so much self-loathing in the physique community that they can't stand the idea that someone could love their imperfections, that someone could be happy with the progress they've made even though they haven't reached any sort of standard of perfection yet. And that really flies in the face of how a lot of these people feel, because a lot of these people are incapable of being happy until they've achieved some absurd perfection. And you see that in the physique community, and both in the men and the women. And so that's another big reason she's going to catch a bunch of flack from these people. But, you know, it's also funny if it's when it's going to be the dudes making fun of her, too, because we all know at the end of the day, all the dudes involved in the physique community, they're not interested in women anyways, no matter what they claim. They're all about that homies over hoes lifestyle. You guys know the song, homies over hoes, homies over hoes, do the homie, do the homie. So they wouldn't really even know what a woman's supposed to look like anyways. So I wouldn't worry about those guys too much. But all in all, I thought I would share her story. I think it was interesting because it's a little bit different. And I enjoyed it mainly because it did seem to rub some physique competitors the wrong way. But I did see a few, surprisingly enough, who were kind of like, you know what? She's made amazing progress. Let's just let her keep going on her journey and encourage her to keep going. And you know what? When you see some of the ones who had that attitude, that's what I think we want to see. I think we need to see more of that in the fitness community rather than this bullshit of everyone expecting everyone to be perfect. How about we just push everyone to keep doing better. Why don't we do that instead? Everyone should get stronger, everyone should get fitter, everyone should be more healthy. How about we just push everyone in that direction? Wouldn't that be great? Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.